I've noticed a lot of literature online, uh, in a lot of star equations where they go over the structure mathematically, and it's full of these numerology type things where somehow the math is supposed to prove how the star functions via fusion reactions. But I don't think that's exactly how things actually work in nature. I think it was rainy day physics is what they're doing with, the math formulas and, 1950s style stuff, because none of them actually knew what happened to stars as they evolved. None of those mathematicians, mathematical physicists, or astronomers slash astrophysicists understood what they were standing on. They were inventing models of how stars are supposedly work, how they supposedly work, without actually understanding what actually happens to them at the end of their lives. Meaning, everything about the fusion models and all these other ideas that were invented in the 1950s, 1940s, 60s, 70s, they're more than likely incorrect. And incorrect in more than one way. And it just stinks how incorrect ideas are dogma now. If you question it, you're an idiot, or you don't know what you're doing, or you're a crank or a crackpot. But that's my main argument for saying that stars are not fusion reactors, is because the people who invented the fusion models never knew what was happening to stars. They never knew what was going to happen to them. So they just invented things before they even understood what they were talking about. That's basically it. And fusion, obviously, is exothermic in nature, meaning it's heat releasing as the processes take place. But fusion belongs inside of birthing galaxies, not stars. Inside of stars, the exothermic reactions that take place are thermochemical and electrochemical, as well as, many types of redox reactions. And applying these types of understandings to stars, I think, will be much more encompassing and will lead to actually being able to connect the really hot young star where a lot of electrochemical and thermochemical events are taking place to the cooler and cooler and cooler star, and a lot of those thermochemical and electrochemical reactions change form, change the rate at which they take place, change the structure of the star itself, and which chemicals are interacting with each other as the star differentiates its interior and becomes cooler and smaller and eventually begins hosting life. And applying thermochemical and electrochemical ideas to stars, I think, has a future, not fusion inside of stars. 1950s style fusion star stuff, I think, is outdated and can be ignored. Strictly because there's no fusion reactors in how they claim that it works. There's this constant promise of fusion reaction devices, yet nothing ever comes of it. Why is that? We know of fission, when you break an atom apart, but there's no fusion anywhere. Why is that? Well, it's because they have the basics wrong. If they knew what they were doing, they would have already had it by now. That's a fact. Today is October 28th, 2015.